This is Brian Nexus from the Sproutarian.com, and today we're going to be talking about sprouting chia seeds and growing chia grass. Now this is one of the most fundamentally important parts of the vegan diet and any diet in general, because we're not getting enough omega-3s in our diet. But it's not hard to be getting those omega-3s if we do a few simple things. Now, we hear so much talk about just eat an avocado, But the thing is, a lot of these avocados, they're shipped 100 miles, 200, 300 miles in from the farm. They're not even ripe. You're getting these hard rock balls that you've got to sit there for weeks waiting till they're ripe, so they're not getting the proper phytonutrients and different chemical changes that happen in the fruit on proper tree ripened fruit. So you're getting this thing that looks like fruit, but is not really, hasn't got the health giving benefits of the fruit because it's been picked a long time before. So you wait for it a few weeks for it to get, say, it's actually edible and soft. But when you open an avocado, you start to get this brown appearance inside, and that's the rancid fat starting to come into being. So you don't want to be eating hard unripe fruit, and you don't want to be having these rancid fats. So you don't want to be relying on the avocado for a fruit to be getting your omega-3s. You get all these vegans and they're having these avocados, but are they getting their omega-3s? There's problems associated with eating unripe fruit. We're not supposed to do it. So let's look about other ways to doing it. So what I'm going to show you is how to sprout chia seeds and how to grow chia grass. Now this takes a bit of time to get right. It's pretty simple stuff, but you just got to develop your own technique, and you'll develop the art form needed to grow the chia seeds. It's slightly more tricky than the flax seeds, but once you've got it down and you can really read those seeds and what needs to happen and get it down to a fine art, you'll be okay. Growing the chia sprouts is a lot easier than growing the chia greens. But what we'll do is we'll start off with soaking the seeds. Now this is a bit of an art form in itself. Here are the chia seeds. Now first of all, what you find many vegans talking about is, just soak the seeds in water and drink them like that. You'll get all your omega-3s. Now, I think there could be problems with that. You might be aware that chia seeds have high amount of oxalic acid, as a lot of seeds do, and they have a high amount of phytic acid. So if you're soaking something for an hour, is that enough to get the phytic acid and oxalic acid out of the chia seed? That's the first question. And the second is, if you're still consuming that gel in the chia seed and the oxalic acid and phytic acid isn't washed away like it should be, then are you still consuming that oxalic acid and the anti-nutrients in that gel? Personally, I think you are. So if you're doing that, it's going to be binding to the calcium, it's going to be binding to the zinc, it's going to bind to the iron, it's going to bind to the magnesium, and you're not going to get the effects of the chia. That's one problem with having a whole seed. And you hear about people having low blood pressure when they're having these chia seeds. And they're starting to talk about the gel causing this problem. Could it be the gel not letting the oxalic acid escape and binding to the calcium and causing calcium problems in the body? I don't know. It could be. It's something to think about. Definitely not a good practice to be doing. Another reason why it's not a good practice is because seeds are high in fat. And if you're having olive oil on salads and all these kind of things, you're going to be getting a high percentage of calories from fat. That's a problem. It's also a high protein food, so it's a concentrated protein food. Why do you want to be doing that? Why don't you help your body? Why don't you break the proteins down into amino acids? Save your body doing it. That's one of the benefits of sprouting. You break the concentrated proteins down into amino acids. You help the body do that. You break the fats down into fatty acids. The body doesn't have to work as hard. And when you sprout as well, you're getting an explosion of phytonutrients, which you will not be getting if you don't sprout the seed. So, and you're getting rid of the inhibitors, the nutrient inhibitors like the oxalic and phytic acid. So why wouldn't you want to go sprouting the seed? Plus you get an increase in the various vitamins, the B vitamins, things like that. You're getting higher bioavailability of minerals. You're getting all kinds of changes happening during the sprouting, and you want to give yourself the best, healthy, most easily digestible, high bioavailable nutrient food you can possibly get. And if you're not sprouting it, well, you're not getting that. And plus, you might be eating a chia seed which is irradiated. But how do you know if it's irradiated if you don't sprout it first to find out? See, a lot of chia is irradiated. So you want to be sprouting it. Put a bit of life force in it. Put a bit of enzymes in it. Put phytonutrients in it. Put a bit of hormones in it. You know, there's even science now is looking at the hormones in plants can be broken down by the human body, and we can use that material to actually develop human hormones. And I know in my inner self that when you're developing the deeper voice and it's resonating when you start eating these foods, there's something going on with the hormones. And if you've got problems with sex drive and things, the hormones will fix that. The hormones will develop a stronger voice. A man will become more of a man, a woman will become more of a woman. There's something going on. And the science is starting to find that the hormones in plants are very important for human hormones. They can't quite prove it yet, but the studies are looking promising. So let's get back into the chia seeds and what we're going to do with soaking them. Now, this tray here is 12 inches by 16.5 inches. So what I do is I get 3 3/4 tablespoons of chia to soak in a jar. Now normally the jar I use is a lot smaller, so I'm going to be careful here that I don't put too much water in, because that can cause problems. Now I'll tell you what those problems are in a moment. I'm just going to be really careful here. It's best to put in less water to start with than over watering too much, because I'll just jump ahead just for a moment and I'll just tell you what happens if you put too much water in with the swelled seeds. Just give me a moment and I will find, yes, here we go. Here's a perfect example of what happens here. You will find that it spreads out a lot more on the tray cloth. So what happens, it's not as thick, and you'll find at the edges it will start to get like limp and dry there, and it hasn't got as many seeds to protect the whole crop there. But if it's done properly, this is how it should look. There's no withering and paleness around the edges. It's like a real thick springy mat, and that's how proper grown chia should be done, with the right amount of water. So too much water and it starts getting it becomes more vulnerable to the elements, so it can be knocked around by weather changes. The wind can dry it out quicker, and you can see here it's starting to dry out all there because I haven't put them close enough together. So that's something you've got to be aware of. So here we go. I'm gonna put some water in it, and because I'm not normally used to a big jar, I'm just gonna understart it. And I can always add. Ooh, that's even getting a bit too much there, I think. But what I'm gonna do, yeah, I think I've put too much in here actually. What I might do is I'm actually going to tip a bit out and sacrifice a couple of seeds, because I'm going to have a nightmare problem otherwise. I'll step out of the camera, I'll just tip a little bit out. Yeah. I'm not sacrificing too many seeds, but yeah, that'll be right now. You can see how I've tipped off probably 3/4 of an inch. And what you do is you've got to mix it around, because those seeds clump together and they can get in air pockets in the jar, and you just got to make sure you just got to stir them around for a couple of minutes. Make sure they're all separate, because what happens if you don't do that, you can also have problems with the chia. I'll just show you what I'll get back to this. Can't leave it too long, but I'll just get back to this in a moment. I'll show you what happens if you when they start to clump together. You get something an unsightly hole like that, like those were a little bit stuck together, and you get that. And what happens if that happens is, I'll show you an example. It can start to rot. So you've got to be careful that when that starts growing up, because that is going to spread. So I've got to sort of like not water it around that section and just continue on with it. So, and that will go all across if I'm not careful. I've got to really watch myself how I water that. But that happens sometimes. It's just one of those things. So let's get back onto this and stir it, and let's be careful. See, these seeds, they stick on in their little air pockets, so you've got to make sure you've got it all so it's not sticking to the sides of the jar and it's all floating nice. Because I'm talking here and I'm not doing it quite how I normally would, it's taking me a bit longer than normal, but that's alright. I'm just giving you an idea how it all goes. Now that's looking pretty good. Yeah, alright. And they'll swell up a bit more over the next few hours, so you just keep them 3 to 4 hours, no longer than that. Because if you keep them too long, they're going to be so waterlogged that you're going to get that problem, as I said, with the seeds starting to starting to rot early. So that is the key there when you do the seeds, is not putting too much water. And yeah, it should be alright there. Now I did one earlier this morning, and this, yeah, this could be slightly too thick, but we'll see. That doesn't matter if it is, because we can add a bit of water extra and get the right consistency on the cloth. So let's just we'll just try a little bit. This is what you do. Yeah, that's looking pretty good actually. That'll be fine. Now, don't be scared of the mucus sprouts. You know, they're some of the best sprouts you could be eating. You know, they're much better than the alfalfa sprouts. So don't be afraid of the mucus ones. And for growing, you know, for a regular meal for eating, you don't need that many trays for chia sprouts. You just grow just 3 of these, and that'll see you in seed meals all throughout the week. So you just spread it out like that. It's pretty easy stuff. And that'll grow really good grass there. Huh. Funny enough, there you go. It's not even making quite the tray this time. I don't know why that is. Maybe I undercounted my spoons. Maybe I only did 2 3/4 instead of, yeah, I think that's what I've done. Because I was probably distracted. I didn't quite put in enough spoons like I normally do, but you get the picture. Yeah, so that's how you do it. It's not very hard. I'll just quickly wash my hands outside on the side of the camera there. Get all the gel and seeds off them. That's right, so that's all you do. And basically what you would do is you would put them inside in a dark area for a few days. You might want to put them in a warm room to start the germination of the seeds a bit better. You might even want to make a plastic greenhouse tin, or just a small set of shelves, just 3 units, maybe a foot high, and cover them completely in plastic, because the seeds don't need to breathe much of the air. They'll just use what's in that sealed plastic area. Just put them on the shelves. Just 3 of these for chia sprouts, and you'll find after the 3rd day, this is how they'll look like. If you put them in a nice warm area, so in the plastic or in a warm room. I'll show you what they look like. They look like this. Now, these are grown. These should have been harvested yesterday lunchtime. These are a little bit, you know, they're a little bit too developed for chia sprouts. You just want the tails coming out of them a bit, and then what you do is you just use a spoon and you scrape them off. Now with this, because I'm growing it for grass, I'm letting these go a little bit dry. I'm not keeping it as moist as I would for normal 2 to 3 day old chia sprouts, because if I keep it too moist when I'm growing grass, you're going to have that rot happening. You've got to be real careful how you water them. For chia sprouts, you can keep it a bit more moist, no problems. And then what you do is you just get the spoon, not as developed as this, you know, you get the shorter sprouts in this, and you just get the spoon, scrape them off like that. See that? And you put that in the blender, blend for 25 seconds, no more than that, and you just make it's a really nice tasting drink. You make a nice grey drink, and it is beautiful, and you feel fantastic when you have it too. If you grow it to this stage though, what's going to happen is the roots start developing, right? So you're going to blend it, and it's going to be like blending mud, and it's getting that greeny soapy taste that chia is famous for. So you don't really want to be taking it that far. Keep the taste, just keep a bit of meaty food, so don't spout for too long. Another thing too is when the roots start getting developed and the chia's been there for like starting to get the hair like this or longer, it's getting that brown. The roots are getting in, they're always in water, and you're just going to get bacteria, I feel, in your chia if you grow it too long and you're pulling up all the roots like that. So just have it for a few days and no longer. Harvest it. You can eat it. You can mix it with sunflower sprouts, sesame seed sprouts, all those kind of things, and you will really feel the energy and the vibrance that these omega-3 foods give you. So that's what you do with that. What I'll talk about now is how to water these chia sprouts and the chia grass. You got to be real careful. You don't want to get too carried away and water them too much. You've got to water them regularly, morning and night, and not overdo it and not underdo it. And you've got to look for patches too. Like you'll see here, it's a little bit more moist than some of the areas around here which are drier. It happens sometimes, so you've got to be aware of that. So you concentrate spraying the area on a fine spray in the drier areas, and you don't do so much in the more damp areas. Because what's going to happen if you just water it all the same, that's going to become a bog pile, waterlog, and it's going to rot like I showed you before, and then that just go all through the chia. So this is what you do. I'm going to start off doing those more green areas, because they're the drier areas. Right, like that. Then just go. Right, let's just feel it. With the dry areas a little bit more. Right. It's not always messing around like that. Some of them you just spray over easy, but other times they can get a bit temperamental. So you're just going to be aware of that. Let's do another one. This one's easier. It's more consistent. It's slightly damp from last night, so that tells me it needs a real quick spray, and I'm going to try to avoid that area because that's going to spread. Here we go. Right, no more than that. That's fine for that. Let's do another one. You'll develop a feel for this. Yeah, that's reasonably dry. So, but not too much. Just regularly and light. Move the spray over. Actually, I'm going to be careful about that. Right. Yeah. Yep. Bit of dampness on there. That'll do that one. Now, for the we'll do this one too. See, the seeds are more apart there, less protection amongst the herd. They're starting to deteriorate. Not much I can do about that. That's why you got to not put too much water in the seed mix when you first spread it. Here we go. Here's this one. Done. That's all you need to do. It's done for the day. Another one. This is beautifully grown, this one. It'll grow up real thick. And what happens, these take 2 weeks to grow, or 14 days, yeah. And you'll find that these beautiful little lily pads come out, and it becomes the most richest, vibrant of green of the plant. And it's by far the best sprout. Just beautiful they are, and they're just like a real soft, springy mat. Fantastic. So it's highly recommended. if you can, you do chia grass as well. Because when I was drinking 8 ounces of chia grass last cold season, I just found that I was on the biggest, most fantastic, exhilarated, natural high. And I was out here in 0 degrees. I didn't feel the cold at all. Didn't need to be inside with a heater on. And it was raining all the time. And I just felt the most delightful happiness. And that's what the omega-3s do. They just create a real cheerfulness inside you that you will not experience if you don't have this chia grass juice. It's worth every bit of effort to do it. And you're not going to get that by just eating the avocado. You really want to load it into your body because we're so deficient. We're eating so much omega-6s and we're not getting the balance of the omega-3s. Some say 2 part 6s to 1 part 3s. Some say 4 part 6s to 1 part 3s. But whatever, we're getting all these nuts and seeds and everything, but we're not getting many omega-3s. So build up on them, especially during the cold season when this is really easy to grow, and just make the most of it. So I will show you after this how you harvest the chia grass. Now this isn't quite developed yet, but so you'll see the small lily starting to develop there now. See, just in about another 4 or 5 days they'll be a real dark rich green. And what you do is you pull them up like that. See that? And what you do, you want to get rid of those roots because they've been wet, damp for 2 weeks. They're going to, in my opinion, develop bacteria. But the real reason is when you juice it, you don't want to be having dark brown juice that looks like you're drinking mud. So what I do is I just cut these roots off. Bit of lost nutrition, so what? Just cut that bit off there, and just keep the tops of the greens. Have a whole plate full of chia for juicing, and you have a beautiful dark green juice that comes out. Now it's pretty peculiar taste. It tastes like a bar of soap, but oh boy, well you might want to mix it with another a sprout juice, but oh boy, you will really feel a benefit of that. You know, just the most gloomiest day will be like the brightest, most exhilarating day you've ever had in your life. You're not going to feel the cold. You're going to have no problems. You're building up your omega-3s. I just can't tell you how good this is. So have the chia for the omega-3s, have it for the calcium, the zinc, the magnesium, but sprout it to make these things more bioavailable. Sprouting the chia grass, according to Dr. Brian Clement, makes the omega-3s 36 times more available than in the original seed. That's why you need to do it. If you can't grow the grass, just grow the chia sprouts. That's huge help. Better than nothing. Don't rely on flax oil to be getting your omega-3s. Apparently, it's only 6% absorbable from the oil. If you haven't got all the cofactors needed to be able to absorb that concentrated oil. So instead of having the straight oil, break it down into the fatty acids, have all the cofactors in the plants, like with the enzymes and things, to phytonutrients, to break everything up properly into the simple building blocks. Consume it like that. Much more efficient, less anti-nutrients, extremely high phytonutrients and all those kind of things. That's the way to be doing it. It's the highest source of omega-3s apparently discovered on Earth so far. Hemp sprouts second, flax sprouts third. But this is the nicest tasting. It's a beautiful drink. You just have a tray of these, and when you've done the Sproutarian diet for a long time, that's enough to fill you for the day. You'll have your sea vegetables. You'll have, I recommend having dulse, eating that, and then having these afterwards. And you'll have high energy for the day, high spirits for the day. When you've been doing it in time, you know, and you're adjusted more to the eating, you just eat to your 75% full. You know, there's no hunger, and you'll be fine. You'll absorb everything well. But it takes a while to get to that point. But just, you know, eat as much as you like when you first go Sproutarian. I did the same thing. You know, it's a big mental adjustment to make from SAD diet to sprouting diet. So just go for your life with it. You might even want to mix them with sprouted sunflower seeds, sprouted sesame seeds, but make this a major part of this. The chia seeds a major part of your diet 3 times a week, 4 times a week possibly, and you'll just find a really big difference. So it helps create a good mood. One of the big things is reduces inflammation. Gabriel Cousins will talk about that. With all the explosion in diabetes now and eating all these highly hybridized foods like sprouted grains and beans, and having unripe fruits, and you know, apparently it's creating a lot of inflammation in it, and this will just help fight back with all these kind of things. Helps you from stop from getting cold. And most importantly though, it gives you a fighting chance to be able to manufacture the newly discovered EPA fatty acid. That's why you'll find that a lot of vegans, when they've been doing this a little while, they have to be eating fish products to feel better. You know, the rancid fish products is because they're not able to manufacture the EPA fatty acid, because you're not getting the correct balance of the omega-6s to 3s. They're not getting the B vitamins, they're not getting the copper, they're not getting the amino acids, they're not getting all these types of things and enzymes to help the body in manufacturing these things, because they're eating store-bought fruit and vegetables. They're eating fruit that is unripe and full of tannins. They're getting these nuts, which who knows, from shops, and who knows how long they've been there for. They're getting seeds, which they don't even sprout, and who knows if they're irradiated or not. They're not eating the sea vegetables. They're not eating the purslane with the EPA fatty acid. They're not eating the E3 live with the EPA fatty acid. They're not doing so many things. They're following this natural hygiene diet. It's not fresh. It's been, who knows how long the vegetables have been in the shop. Even the certified organic fruits, they've told me they've had them in their refrigerators for 3 to 4 months for oranges. Now, how are you going to expect to do well on a vegan diet when you're eating things like that? Truly. I've rambled on a bit, I've got a bit carried away, but I'm glad I brought up this point. I'm going to be going a lot more on about the vegan diet another day and covering it in a lot of details, because there's a lot of things our raw food leaders are teaching us. I mean, they're teaching us, but they aren't teaching us some of the most critical aspects of being healthy on a vegan diet. So we need to get this information out there, and people need to start thinking much more about what they're eating, because not all raw food is necessarily the best food, and even not all sprouted food is necessarily the best food. So we have to select our foods carefully, reduce the anti-nutrient factors in our foods as much as possible. So the sprouting of the chia, mandatory. You don't want to be soaking it and drinking it and blending it like that. It's not the way to be doing it. So I hope you have got something out of what I've said today, and I hope I haven't rambled on too much. But I'll just sign off by saying once again that this is Brian Nexus for the Sproutarian.com, and thank you very much. This is Brian Nexus from the Sproutarian.com. I showed you before how to grow the chia sprouts and the chia grass, but one thing I didn't mention was how we clean up these cloths and what we had to do afterwards. Now I just mentioned before about how we pull the grass up like that, and we just cut the roots off and just juice the grass part, but you'll find it should normally pull off quite easily, but sometimes there's a little bit left. There's a little bit of stuff left on the cloth. So what you do is you basically make sure the cloth's really wet, you know, in nice filtered clean water, so they don't get any chemicals in the seeds, in the greens and things. But you basically, if you see there, I'll just pull this off a bit, you'll see that there's seeds stuck. So you just use a spoon to scrape them off like that. Get it as clean as you can. It only takes a couple of minutes to do a really big tray. And then you may just want to use a scrubbing brush, put a bit of water on it just to give it a proper clean. And then all you do is you just boil the rags. You might just want to keep them for a couple of days and then put them in a pot, boil them up in filtered water, just to sterilize them. Just wait till it cools down a little bit, the water. Just make sure it's, just squeeze it in the water, make sure all the junk's off the cloths. Then just hang them out on the line, or just put it straight on a new tray and ready to grow the chia grass again. Now I showed you also before, when you lay the seeds out, you'll find that you won't need to really water this for the first day and a half. So when it starts to dry a little bit, that's when you start to water them, and from then on you water them lightly twice a day. This one here, I did this about a day ago. Tonight it'll probably need a really light spray because it's starting to dry a little bit now there. But yeah, it's just good to be aware of that. So I'll just show you an old one of flax seeds here. Basically, these are really easy to clean. You just go like this. I neglected these, I forgot all about them, but it's alright. And what I would do then is I would add a bit of water. It shouldn't even be this hard, because normally you don't let it get dry like this, but you just moisten it a bit. See, it's all coming off now, the roots. You just use a scrubbing brush. Yeah, it's coming up beautiful. I'll just get rid of this, and you'll see what I mean. So you just put a bit of water on. Use the spoon a little bit. This is how you clean them. Get like those hard flex seeds. Now we just use the scrubbing brush. Palms up, beautiful. just like a treat. It doesn't take too long. Could use this spoon a bit more. Normally with the flax, it takes 30 seconds. Because it's gone a bit hard on the thing, it take me a couple of minutes. But that's alright, it's not that hard of work. You just do one of these every day. Just plant the new flax or chia. Takes 30 seconds. Basically you're maintaining each tray, cleaning it and scrubbing it and all that. It just takes about 2 minutes a day. During the winter you've got 14 trays out, so you're getting a very rich omega-3 green drink, 8-ounce glass through every day for maintaining a whole system that takes 28 minutes a day in total. If you grow them inside the house, you're going to have less, or in a plastic greenhouse, you're going to have less of a road. Not so many trays to grow, so that's going to cut your work down even significantly more. If you haven't got room for all that kind of thing, as I said, you just sprout the chia seeds. You just have 3 trays. That takes you 5 minutes a day to take care of it all. And you're getting these rich omega-3s, and you're getting one of the highest sources of calcium, high source of iron, great source of omega-3s, all that kind of thing for very little work. So it's the best thing you can be having in your diet. The chia seeds, the flax seeds. Definitely do that. Okay, well that's Brian Nexus for the Sproutarian.com. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. And next time we talk, I'm going to talk more about the vegan diet problems and how we can overcome them. So thank you very much.